Hey everybody, this is Chris Reyes, and this is my review for Fantastic Four.
Dr. Storm, we gave you 6 years and millions of dollars, and you gave us nothing. What's different now?
Reed Richards. He knows answers to questions we don't even know to ask yet. This is our chance to learn more about our planet and maybe even save it. I want you to meet my daughter, Sue.
You want to be famous?
I just want my work to make a difference. Johnny, Reed.
This guy doesn't take orders well.
Yeah, especially from people who say, I don't take orders well. Don't let any of these lab coats give you any crap, all right? Well, if I do, I know who to call. The Muscle.
I gotta say, it's fun having you here.
Really?
No.
What you've created here is incredible.
You guys sure you're in the best shape to be doing this? Yeah. We're good.
They just cracked interdimensional travel.
Incredible.
All I want to know is where are my children?
4 have survived.
Dark, remote, blank, and lifeless. This is how I would describe my experience, not only with the movie that I watched in front of me, but the theater room. I was the only one in my movie theater room, so I didn't have anybody with me at all. And I'm not gonna bring up any of the nonsense that has been plaguing this movie for the past 5 days since it's come out. All the controversy from who, all the creative nonsense that's coming out. So I'm going to judge this movie on its own terms. The Fantastic Four movie, which was directed by Josh Trank, had just somewhat of a lot of potential going for it. I mean, you have, as I mentioned, Josh Trank, who is the director of Chronicle, which is a pretty much a kind of a parody on the superhero genre, but kind of flipping it around and doing its own original thing with it. It's a found footage movie, and so and that was a pretty good movie. And you also have a tremendous cast. I mean, you've got who are really, really young actors, but have a lot of promising careers ahead of them. You have Miles Teller, you have Kate Mara, you have Jamie Bell, you have Michael B. Jordan, in these respective iconic roles of the Fantastic Four. But so you just had, I think you kind of had the right ingredients in place. You also had Simon Kinberg, who was the writer of X-Men, Days of Future Past. So you definitely had the right ingredients with this film. And obviously, and I hate to bring that stuff up, but I'm not going to, but what you get is just this weird conglomeration of genre pieces that I can't even call it a superhero movie. Yeah, it has the superhero elements at the very end, but the Fantastic Four to me just was lacking an identity. And this is kind of my my overall opinion, my initial opinion on the film. So what you get is it's just bland. I mean, it's a very bland film, and it's boring. It is an unexhilarating piece. I guess you would think that in this day and age that we live in with the Marvel movies, post Dark Knight trilogy era, you would expect, or even X-Men. I mean, you would expect something in the vein of something like an X-Men movie, a little bit more and excitement to it. But it's a very it just drags, and it specifically comes down to the character development. I mean, you've got Reed Richards and Ben Grimm, who basically start off the movie as childhood friends, and and that whole piece is really, really weird, because Reed Richards into science, then Ben Grimm, who played by Jimmy Blale, is kind of comes from a kind of an abusive home, and you're not too sure if he's a scientist or not, or if he's interested in. It just seems like he just goes along with the ride because Reed Richards just seems to be the one that he manages to approach. But it's just weird, and even just the plot itself is just a weird. It's just inconsistent, and mainly, and of course, I know some of the controversy mainly with like Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm and Kate Mara as Sue Storm. The ethnicity separations between them, because Kate Mara is white and then Michael B. Jordan is a black guy, or in this case, the brother and sister are completely of different colors, and that isn't really explained in the film. That could have been an interesting arc of the differences between one another, but they don't play with that, and it just feels like it's just there just for the sake of an ethnicity point of view. It's just it has no relevance to the story whatsoever. It's just irrelevant. And I'm gonna be very honest, this cast is just, they have no chemistry. You look at the Avengers, you got Chris Evans, you got Mark Ruffalo, you got Robert Downey Jr., all this great character interaction with each other, and they just have great chemistry. Here, it's just bland. There's nothing there, and it's very unfortunate, again, because of the really talented actors. Now, the film itself is, as I mentioned earlier, is like a mixture of so many different genre pieces. It's like it's trying to play. It doesn't really know if it wants to be a superhero movie. It doesn't know if it wants to be kind of a something else completely. And some of the things that I got out of it was it kind of felt like like Josh Trank, and he said in interviews that he was trying to go like for a David Cronenberg The Fly type of feel, kind of that horror from within type of feel, and it's there, and I think that could be interesting with the power elements, and they do play it in one scene, but that's it. There's nothing really else to it. It's a very, it's just lacking. If they had done more with that could have been interesting. But of course, you want to see, some action. I'm just going to be very honest. There's very little action in this movie, and that's very unfortunate for a movie like this. Especially for a Fantastic Four movie. I remember seeing the original ones from 10 years ago. And I think those movies were a little bit better. At least they had a soul. This one, even though those movies are terrible, this one really doesn't. It's just bleak and bland. But, again, enough with that. But, the story in and of itself is just convoluted. It's not very well written. And the guy that they got to play Dr. Doom was interesting. I didn't really care much for him, and his ultimate motivation is just absolute ludicrous. It's not very well written. I mean, it's like, okay, he's trapped. Okay, so this is what happens in the movie. 3 of the scientists go into this dimension, just nameless dimension that has nothing, no bearings whatsoever. It's just the place where they go get their powers, but there's nothing to it. There's no civilization. They're nothing. It's just a complete waste of nothingness. And all they just do is they just get their powers there, and that's basically it. However, they somehow an accident happens that Doctor Doom is caught down there, and then he's accidentally left there because just the incident, because of this green stuff that covers him, and that's what enables his body. But there's no motivation. It's not like I've been here for a long time and I want my revenge. There's nothing. the movie kind of makes it seem like he's, a neglected pupil of, Sue Storm's father, and who's, jealous of everybody, but it's not very well written. And when he comes back, it's like this complete opposite of want to destroy the world mentality. And basically, he is just written in the first act just to set up that climax, which is just useless. It's just an absolutely useless climax. So that was just a weird garbage nonsense. And the visual effects in this movie, I think, were horrible. This movie looked bad visually, and I could kind of sense that from maybe the last couple of trailers. It was just a trailer. I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're just finishing up the touches, but this movie just looked bad. This movie looked really, really bad. Like the actors are just put against. You can tell that it's a blue screen or a green screen or something, and they're not in this natural environment that makes you believe, or that makes you want to touch it. There's none of that there. So the movie it's just lacking. And again, another big disappointment with me was that Jamie Bell. I thought Jamie Bell as the Thing was going to steal this show, and boy, was I absolutely wrong. I really like Jamie Bell a lot, and I think he's a tremendous actor, and I think he would have been the Mark Ruffalo of this movie had he been given a better a script. And he's just given nothing. The thing here, here's the thing. He becomes friends with Reed Richards, and then they're friends through high school and all that stuff, but you don't know if he's into science. And then they both get this offer to go for a scholarship with Mr. Storm. So they both move into the city, and then for some reason, Jamie Bell or Ben Grimm just goes absent, and he's back in the rut that he was originally at with his abusive, mother and brother, and then he's just gone for like 30 minutes of the movie. They don't do anything with him. They don't show a motivation or an arc. Nothing. It's just a disappointing character for a really who I think is a really interesting character, especially the Thing. I would say he's the Hulk of the Fantastic Four, obviously, but he's just given absolutely nothing to do. Again, this is just not a very well written movie. I know I haven't really gotten to a lot of details with the plot. It's just not a good movie at all. I say don't watch it. I do not recommend this movie. Do not go see it at all. Here's another thing to do with the visual effects. The powers with the characters, with the exception of the Thing and the Human Torch, the visual effects with those powers are horrible. Like, Miles Teller's stuff, you can just tell it's just CGI work. I don't know if people can't, do that visual effects shot better, or I don't know what the situation is there. I just think it's just poorly done. And then with Kate Mara, they come up with some interesting things with her powers, but it's not very well developed, and or just very well shot, and just some weird stuff. So, am I going to say, does this movie deserve the criticism that it's received? Unfortunately, yes. Especially when after the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you expect a little more pow and awe and, excitement, and this movie is not that at all. It doesn't. And I don't know if this film is the blueprint of a far better film that apparently is rumored to be out there, especially because I do know, and if you watch the trailers, there are a lot of cutscenes. So basically, my overall opinion is this: it's a very inconsistent movie. It contradicts itself on so many levels that you won't believe, and it's just not a very well written, and it's just not very entertaining. It's just so boring. And again, that's kind of my opinion, and I wish I could have gotten some of the other guys here, but they were really busy, and I had nothing. I had really nothing else to. I have really nothing else to talk about this movie. So yeah, Fantastic Four, piece of garbage. Don't go see it. Take my word for it. Anyway, I'm Chris Reyes. If you want to email me and send in a film request or something like that, please email me at s2spodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us on Facebook, subscribe on iTunes, and look us up on Twitter as well. We'll be back pretty soon. We're really busy right now, so all of us are so busy right now. And I hope you all take care, everybody, and cheers.